just got traveling the country for a lot of different reasons, and I did enough miles to travel it 2.5 times from coast to coast. And I was in the airport, and this lady was just having a meltdown, and like they were calling security and everything, and it was all because her husband just had to get on a jetway for some flight to Alaska, and it's like no one's in a hurry to get to Alaska. In fact, the person that I was on the plane with was worried that it was going to be late. Also, everything was running late, so everything was just escalating way out of control, and she's dropping her baggage everywhere, and I just stopped and I picked up her like neck pillow, I handed it to her, and I just whispered to her, if you walk slow, they won't have the plane take off. Just relax.
Wow.
And she goes, oh, you're right. And then everyone started thanking each other and whatever. And I wasn't me. Like she was able to like, oh wait, if I just do this, I'm fine. Which then they could stop forcing her to do something. And this isn't a hero story. It's the point that they stopped and they looked at each other, which is the whole point of the album. And really, I've learned it's a balance of unconditional acceptance with clear and healthy boundaries. Because otherwise, it can go the other way.
That is the prescription or the formula for happiness.
Yes.
Within the sound of my voice, you are watching or listening to the Sterling Spin podcast, and I am excited to bring you a new spin on living, learning, loving, even laughing. I am taking us today on a journey. My guest is a musician. You're going to love the sounds that you hear. I'm Liz Sterling. Welcome to today's program. With me in the studio is Roger Dinardi. He is a multifaceted musician. He's known for blending genres, pushing sonic boundaries, and creating music that resonates deeply with emotion and authenticity. I wanted to acknowledge the release of his newest LP, 12 Notes for 7 Stories. It's a 30-minute concept album that weaves together the 7 universal story archetypes, and we will get into that. And it was born as reflection on his journey through severe COVID-related hearing loss, depression, and I believe we will find out that Roger healed through music. Welcome to the program.
Hi, Liz. What an intro.
It's not even all of you. It's just some of you that I really wanted everyone to get. Like, you have a range of sounds and music and understanding and exploration. And listening to your music is truly like going on a journey.
Thank you. That was the goal. But yes, it's always nice when it registers. And I love the light that it sparks and every few people's eyes.
I'd like to open it up with just a little bit of background, and then we're going to take the audience into your music today. I've picked out a number of songs from your new LP, and we're going to listen to those together, and we'll get some sense and understanding. And I'm not going to hold you off too long, but I wanted to start with your entree into music. I understand that you were shielded or protected from the world of music. It was your family's choice that you know church music, that was your entire exposure until you were a teenager.
Yeah.
Like, wow, how did that happen? And then what happened when you heard?
Yeah, if there were drums in it, it was the devil's music. So we did church hymns only.
It was labeled, and that was bad.
Yeah.
And what you were listening to was what was the right music.
Yeah. When I got to be a teen, I just started discovering music. Actually, this story that as a teen, I heard the Guess Who American Woman, but recently I had the loss of a family relative who, and I had this wonderful magical memory of her playing me the song "Don't Worry, Be Happy,"
Hmm.
and I realized that was the one that before the big rebellious, yeah, that was the one where me and her danced forever to that song.
And when she recently passed, you had that memory come back
Yeah,
that she was the one
yeah,
who opens that up. Don't worry, be happy.
yeah,
Not only the value of the lyrics in the song,
yeah,
but that you could then use it years later. And it
yeah,
also was entree into the whole world of music and sound.
yeah, and the connection, the instant connection with everybody else, and just that was my first wonderful sniffs of, hey, this might not be correct for me, and that I just have to do
When
this.
you say this not might not be correct for me, meaning the world as you knew music
Right.
through that
Yes.
lens,
Yes.
and then all of a sudden, okay, do your best to describe what it was like for you to find out as a teenager that there were these sounds being put together. What was the year and what was the music that you were hearing?
Oh, so I found a copy of the Guess Who, Greatest Hits, American Woman, and I had I plugged in my headphones and I had a little Walkman, and it blew my mind. The colors, the shapes, my mind just exploded with everything. I went wonderfully insane,
Wow.
and there was no going back. It was like a giant bell of truth, just ding. Like there was nothing else. So I saved up a little bit of money here and there from mowing lawns, and actually bought the little cassette recorders you could or whatever was available at the thrift stores. It had a little secret recording thing way in the back of my closet, like it was like it was contraband or something, and with a little antenna, and I'd record like the top 9 at 9 and like sneak a listen to it the next day, and it was just, and I would record one track in and then hit play on that one and record that track back, and I didn't care. And
Wow.
so yeah, I would do that till way late in the morning, and yeah, so I was not going to be stopped.
Do you think that the fact that it was contraband, even though it wasn't really, but that it was forbidden or prohibited or not like, did that lend to your new relationship with music, or do you think it was innate?
I'm not naive enough to think that it didn't maybe what influenced what I liked or how I felt at the time. If you're getting in extreme trouble, you're not going down for Boys to Men. You're gonna go down for some you're gonna go down for some rock and roll.
Right.
But so like it was more though that the search for authenticity. Like this was like risky business I was doing. This was like as bad as like stealing your parents' car at night or going to like an underage party. It was like
Wow.
extreme.
Listening to music,
Yeah, yeah.
popular
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
part.
Yeah, they check your presets on your radio. So it's like, it was like the whole thing. And I don't know, I'm not here to demonize that or anything, but you're not going to go down for something that's shallow or doesn't have authenticity. And so when
So
people
since you
say,
use that word twice, authenticity, give us a hint of what your journey toward from to authenticity has been about. Like, take us inside this quest for authenticity.
well, when I first got exposed to that music, and also I started hearing it everywhere and seeking it out. And so it was just an endless thirst. I would start at the blues and just work backwards. I understood that these rock bands were influenced by blues, so I went back as far into blues as I could, and all the way forward. Like electronic music is really great. I'm a sciencey nerd, and that's cool too. So I was literally just drinking in everything from Chemical Brothers and techno to like BB King and who even he influenced, Skip James, and just things that my friends would. What are you listening to? And it
I
just says,
got that. What?
they're like, oh, but listen, it sounds like it's haunted, and like
Uh-huh.
they didn't even know what the blues was yet. So like, and you can just hear the soul, and sometimes a portal. I don't know how else to describe it. A really great music, a little portal opens up, and you can just step through it, and that's
Be
all.
with it. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
is
we
it fair to
all
say and be with it? And
exactly.
you become it, it becomes you. It's like a melding or a
Yes,
blending or merging.
and everyone in the room, and you're even including yourself, like nothing matters except for that very next beat, And that's just the place to be. Like, to me, that is like just heaven is in between drum beats.
So we're going to listen to the first song on your 12 Notes for Seven Stories, which you worked really hard because you had to overcome not only a hearing loss, but a super sensitivity to noise and sound, which is so ironic that that would happen to you.
Oh, yeah.
Who's this person who like just flew into the world of music, and then all of a sudden you were completely
again.
ripped away, separated from it. It was accosting you
Mm-hmm.
in such a way that you had to ease yourself back in.
Yeah.
So
I couldn't even eat with a fork. That, or even to be sitting in this room right now would have been impossible a few years ago.
COVID 20, did you get 2020 or 2021?
I got it before we even had a name for it. We had people that were traveling back and forth to Asia at the place that I worked at, and
Wow.
we had a lot of traveling people, and so we were all in the boardroom just in our winter coats like this, not knowing what was happening. And
Wow.
yeah,
Oh, so you got it when it first came in, and
we
it
were,
was
yeah.
really super
went to the, you
intense.
called the doc, like, we don't know, just stay
Right.
home.
Right.
And so you just laid on the floor shivering for at least a month. And then I just
Wow.
developed terrible ringing. There's
Like the tinnitus?
Yes, for
Yeah.
me, there's a tea kettle going off right now. But you learn to
Oh, you
be
still
calm.
have.
Yes, some has been relieved, but yeah, it's still there. But I've gained a lot of the hearing back, and it's made me better at my craft through doing this album. And I decided that nothing else mattered besides making this album, because
You know what? It's obvious when I listen to it. It's also addicting. I just want you to know I found out I'm an addict listening to your music.
thank you.
And it is so good. And I have three favorite songs. So we're going to get those three songs in. So the first one is called Voyage and Return. And we'll listen to about a minute and a half of it. And we'll get a chance to get the essence of how you play with sound and music. So let's put our headphones on so
Yeah.
we can like really tune in.
We wake up without sleep, locked within the lifetime. Called today. Do not fear the fire, or let them douse the future with yesterday. Few will climb the mountain, others will not try or ever learn. Journey eyes wide open, it's all just a voyage and return. You can see the light, come on, hear the thunder calling out. It beckons like a beacon, sings out like a sign wave, soft and loud. The echoes that are in you, some of them will shine while others burn. Journey eyes wide open, it's all just a voyage and return.
Glad to get more.
Oh gosh, that was
Yes.
Wow. Everything. First of all, it reminds me of when I was like 16 and I had like neon posters and we used to put them up. They had little velvety
Yeah,
things on
yeah.
it. And then we'd be downstairs in the basement and we'd
Right.
all be like
Having
high.
fun.
And, come on, sex
Being
and drugs
youth.
and rock and
Yeah,
roll. I
having
mean,
youth, right?
that was
Youth.
in the 70s for me
Yeah.
and it was really great. And the music, it's like so enlivening. You've got so many sounds that are woven and coming together. You are talking about this as being a classic story of 7 archetypes.
Yes.
So let's like find out like what are the archetypes and what was this?
Right.
It's
So
like Joseph Campbell, the myth, or the journey, the hero's journey.
exactly. So I was, way down and out. Still couldn't pluck a guitar string, and decided to make making an album my most important mission. And so I literally sat down and thought, what do I have to work with here? And I had recently come across the idea that there are only 7 basic stories ever written: Voyage and Return, Overcoming the Monster, Rags to Riches, The Quest. And while movies and the great books stack them up, really it's just the same 7. And I had this realization that no matter what I'm going through, or anyone else, as much as it's hard to admit, it's one of those 7. And even though it's unique to you and it's the hardest thing you could ever imagine doing, someone else is doing a different version of that story also, as hard as they could possibly handle. And so it had this real um, way of adding a feeling of connection to everyone, and that these are universal to all of us. And then, okay, so I thought to myself, okay, I've got 7 stories. I'll write a song for every 7 story, for each story. And I looked at my keyboard, and in Western music, on a keyboard, you've got 12 notes. They repeat, all the way up through, but your C, C sharp, D, all the way up. So I looked down, and it was, I have 12 notes. I'm like, all right, I have 12 notes for 7 stories. And the album just kind of named itself, and that was like actually a really reassuring moment. That is like that if I could just be that natural and that open about even the title is the situation of the album. So I just decided to take my personal story and take anything that makes it personally about me specifically and take it out, and that way I would have a authentic album that everyone could listen and identify with.
Right. The common element is we're all going through some or many of those different stories. And so when we get to vibe in or tune in, it'll activate for us whatever I would say is up for learning, understanding, and potentially and hopefully healing.
Exactly. And I find my active listeners like yourself, where you're remembering the way the music was in the 70s or 60s or 80s. We won't put a
80s
number on
music?
it.
What
We won't put
80s
a number.
music?
Yeah, we won't put a
80s
number
was
on
like
it.
wonky.
But there was a connection. Music was expensive back then. Like it was an investment. You didn't have it. You weren't bombarded constantly. So this was like a library, and these were experiences that you wanted to have. And so I find my active listeners can't get enough of it.
So let's mention something about active listeners. You're across all boards. You're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, and all you want to do is get people to listen. You're like giving it away. You're saying, take it, here it is, use it, integrate it, share it.
Yes.
So I want to tell you what happened this morning. I have a friend, and he's a DJ for something that is based on Gabriel Roth's work. Are you familiar with the 5 rhythms?
No, but I really want to be right
Oh,
now.
my goodness. So there's a woman years ago. Her name was Gabrielle Roth. And
Okay.
her son, Jonathan, since her passing, has picked up her work, Jonathan Roth. And she came up with 5 rhythms that people can move their bodies to.
Oh.
So some of the rhythms are lyrical, some are whimsical, some are chaos, some are stillness.
Sure.
And you move and you go through, it's like 3 songs or 12 minutes for each of the 5 rhythms, and you just let your body move to it. and you're in the music. So I have a friend who's a DJ, and on Thursday evenings, he lives in Burlington, Vermont.
Okay.
And on Thursday evenings, he hosts this gathering, 60, 70, 80 people in a big dance hall. And they're just moving around and dancing with each other and letting
Perfect.
their bodies speak and responding to the music. I sent him your 12 stories, 7 notes,
12
seven,
notes on
no,
the sword, yeah.
12 notes, 7 stories. I sent it to him this morning, and within 3 minutes, he said, I've just allocated it for our Thursday night dance tribe,
Oh, wow.
and we will be using it. The quest, he goes, the quest is the song.
Nice.
So I was like, that's how it moves. You know, you're giving it away.
Yeah.
You're sharing it.
Yes, that's the whole purpose. I want people to hear the humanity in it and just have a little moment of, hey, someone understands how I feel.
Yeah.
And it is both, you both are the hero, and also we're all the heroes. We're all going through these exact same stories. And the fact that many people are going to be having fun is made my, I won't even say it.
I know, right.
Thank you for that.
It's
That's
great.
amazing.
Speaking of fun, this is fun. We're so glad you're here today listening to the Sterling Spin podcast. And I want to invite you to please subscribe to our channel. We're in this algorithmic world.
Yes,
You are too,
the
right?
great algorithm in the sky.
So when you subscribe, you really say, I like this show. It doesn't cost anything. It just feeds the algorithm and it helps other people to find the program. Also, you'll see a little bell, and if you hit the bell, it'll notify you on the times that we drop a new show. The Sterling Spin podcast comes out every Sunday. We're producing a show for you every single week of the year, so you know what you're getting. We love great stories. If you've got a story, send it to me. I'd love to have you in the studio. I want to know what makes you tick and where your passion is. So it's sterlingspin@gmail.com. And it's now time for us to open up for sponsors to help support the show, because we have a whole room filled with people who are here who are supporting what we're doing, and now we're asking you to do the same. So please contact me. I am really good at taking care of my sponsors, I promise you. That's sterlingspin@gmail.com. Back with Roger Dinardi here in the studio. Loved here at Longmont Public Media. I mean, you are an integral part of the community. People came out in droves to celebrate your listening and your launch for the album. How did it feel for you? What was that like?
That was amazing. That was amazing. I found this place. I keep repeating myself, but when I making this album the most important thing in my life, everything just started tumbling into place. It was a gigantic leap of faith, and then I just instantly started meeting the most amazing people.
A team like this, right?
Yeah,
That's
and even just the studio, because I
Yeah.
had to find something. I'm visiting this place in Aldo. He's out front and he goes, "Hey," and I'm like, "Yes, who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm Roger. I'm a musician." And he's like, "Oh, you got to be a member here."
Right,
And like
come on in.
It was like, and like just complete strangers were just like, this is the place for you. Like it was like a calling. And then the studio, to use it the way I wanted to use it, I approached them. It's the way I work it at home, and they loved the idea and ended up being the audio captain. Just at the beginning, it was self-motivated, just so I could have the place reliably to work in. But then I found such a reward for teaching people how to use it. And I mean, good audio is what tells the story. The video is amazing and very important, and we like to look at things, but our message is communicated through audio and words.
And also, I think that, I'm hearing like people don't like things that are dissonant.
Yeah.
Although you'll make your music have dissonance
Oh, yes.
in it at times,
Oh, yes.
but we don't like it. Why do you do that?
I like it because I like it.
Oh, that's why I picked the songs that I picked. You're like, oh, you did it for the demographics. I'm like, no, I picked the songs that I like. I did it for me.
Well, sometimes that's the feeling of the song. Like, it's supposed to, if the part of the song is about feeling uncomfortable, then I just don't want to say I was uncomfortable with words.
Yeah.
That's words. I want to make you feel uncomfortable if
Right.
it's that part of the song. Just that way, I can make you feel happy and love when it's time for love. Because these are all, I'm gonna slow my, these are all honest emotions, and none of them should be denied, and including any like things like dissonance or discomfort. And where that line is, I really like to push, and I like to see how far I can bend it. Just because.
I'm thinking the songs that I picked, the next one we're going to listen to, it's called Diamond.
Yeah, I know a diamond. Yes.
I Know a Diamond. I
Yes.
love that song.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, I think I picked songs that are like, warm
course.
and comfy in the heart.
Yes.
I didn't pick the ones that they
Right.
make you really work too hard.
Right.
So we get to learn about ourselves through the music that we're attracted to.
Well, and it's so you, right? Like the song is about knowing when a good person, when you find them, and pulling and seeing the good in them, and that's what you do all the time. So I'm not
Thank you.
surprised you liked it, and that's why I write so many different types of genres.
But it's also the rags to riches archetype that you
Right.
spoke about.
Right.
Spoke about.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Spoke about. We were just like, yeah. Yeah, I wrote it. I wrote
I'm
it
gonna-
about
well,
it.
maybe we'll cut that out.
No,
Wait,
let's leave it in,
back
please.
up. Go back,
Please
go
do.
back.
Please do. Please leave it in. Yeah, well, I didn't want to write a song about just getting rich, because that's what, the tempting thing to do for rags to riches.
Right.
But there's a lot of ways to find wealth. And one, as we all know, having great people in your life is the most valuable one.
Yeah.
Money doesn't mean that much when there's no one to share it with.
And that's what I'm getting like tears in my eyes, because I cry on the truth.
Yeah.
And how many of us are like, we think of prosperity and we think of success, but it really is from the people who come into our lives and lift us up and support us and hold us in our comfort.
Yes.
At times that we're not our perfect or best self.
Yes.
It's like, oh my goodness, we can be okay with not being okay.
Yeah.
And the people who care, they'll stay with you through it.
Yeah. I had earned an amazing job and was doing very well and was miserable. And one day I opened a Chinese fortune cookie, and they're normally very cliche and whatever. This one said, if you haven't used all you've got, how could you be happier with more? And I kind of lost my thirst for that after that.
That way of life
Yeah.
was no longer.
It's never gonna end.
You weren't pursuing that anymore.
never gonna
That was
end.
it. Can't believe it happened from a fortune cookie. All right, let's do
do
our
it.
diamond song. I call it the diamond song. Let's
Perfect.
do our diamond song. I know a diamond.
I know it.
Don't know much about the nation or the world today. Don't know much about inflation or the CIA. Don't know much about the Dalai Lama, religion or God. Don't know much about quantum physics, but that's probably not odd. But I know a diamond when I find it, even when it's not shining so bright. I know a diamond when I find one. You can tell when you hold it tight. We'll make life a song, flow like a dream. If others don't see us shine, it's just fine with me. Don't know much about politics, medicine or kung fu. Don't know why, leave behind all my follow through. Don't know much about crypto or foreign diplomats. Don't know much about Wall Street lobbyists or bureaucrats. But one thing I do know is I know a diamond when I find it, even when it's not shining so bright. I know a diamond when I find one. You can tell when you hold it tight. We'll make love a song,
I just love
flow like a
a
dream.
diamond, even when it's
If
not
others
shining
don't
so
see us shine,
Well, yeah.
just
So
fine
what
with
are
me.
your, well, we talked about the friends, but what else are those diamonds that you know, even though it's not shining so bright?
Oh,
What are
they're
they?
everywhere. It's everyone. Like, everyone has something that, an inner magic or spark. There are very few terrible people out there. Like, everyone has a great inner spark, and a lot of people have just been taught to hide it or haven't learn to show it, or you can't be what you haven't, you can't try to be what you haven't seen. So it's amazing if you sometimes just take the extra few seconds and listen, or really hear what they're saying, or where they're coming from, or even what their, hang up might be. You don't know what this person's history is. If you just listen for some gem, in almost everyone you'll find it.
I was discussing I had a conversation, was discussing an issue earlier, and the person I was talking to, she said, I have to take into account the things that I don't know and see, because she wanted to make room for that person who showed up in a certain way, and she wanted to give it the best that she could. And instead of making quick judgments, instead of shutting the door, it's maybe there's something else going on that we don't quite see.
Right.
If we weren't so close to the end of the show, I would tell a story. It's really a great illustration, but I'll just reduce it. Tell the story, Liz.
Tell the story.
Okay. All right, I'll tell the story. So there's this guy in Manhattan, and he's on a subway, and it's a true story, with his 2 children. And the children are a little too wild for being on the subway. And there's an observer, and he's watching, and he's sitting there going, what's wrong with that guy? Why can't he watch his kids? Why can't he quiet them down? Why can't he put them in the seat? They're like monkeys flying all over the place. And so he's got this whole dialogue going on in his head, and the guy is just looking out the window. But his daughter climbs up on a leg, sits down and looks at him and says, Daddy, are you looking for mommy in heaven? And the man who was observing was like, oh my
Oops.
gosh,
Yeah.
they just lost their mother.
Yeah.
And they're acting like
They're
the way
being
they
children.
are because they're being
They're
kids.
kids.
And he can't watch them because he's looking for his wife who
Exactly.
just left and went to heaven. So we never know what's going on. And that is the diamond that may not be shining as bright as it
Exactly.
could. I
It's
say,
everywhere.
see the best and bring the best and see the best. Bring the best of yourself and see the best in others.
I just got traveling the country for a lot of different reasons, and I did enough miles to travel it 2.5 times from coast to coast. And I was in the airport, and this lady was just having a meltdown, and they were calling security and everything, and it was all because her husband just had to get on a jetway for some flight to Alaska, and it's no one's in a hurry to get to Alaska. In fact, the person that I was on the plane with was worried that it was going to be late. Also, everything was running late, so everything was just escalating way out of control, and she's dropping her baggage everywhere. And I just stopped, and I picked up her neck pillow, I handed it to her, and I just whispered to her, "If you walk slow, they won't have the plane take off. Just relax."
Wow.
And she goes, "Oh, you're right." And then everyone started thanking each other and whatever. And it wasn't me. She was able to oh, wait, if I just do this, I'm fine. Which then they could stop forcing her to do something. And this isn't a hero story. It's the point that they stopped and they looked at each other, which is the whole point of the album. And really, I've learned it's a balance of unconditional acceptance with clear and healthy boundaries. Because otherwise, it can go the other way.
That is the prescription or the formula for happiness.
Yes.
It's
I hope so.
and,
I'm working on it.
both and, yeah.
Yeah. I unconditionally accept you. That doesn't mean that I necessarily have to accept everything you do or even this moment, what you're doing. But also when you are done and, then we can hopefully move forward again kind of thing. So
And I think the boundary is
hard.
part of it. I mean, we can't do boundaries in 2 minutes, but we
No.
certainly can say if something is getting inside you and it feels gnarly, you want to be able to pause and go, okay, this is where I need to step back, take a break,
Yeah.
pause, or dismiss.
Yes.
And that's what boundaries are. They are for us taking care of ourselves.
We all instinctively know right from wrong, and some of us overthink it to the point that we'll do things or even learn habits
Yeah.
and unlearn that feeling. But
Oh, my
we all,
goodness.
we all know, and they know too. And so when you draw the clear boundaries, it's amazing how often you'll get "I'm right, you're right, I'm sorry, and
I
I'm going to
know.
not do that. I know I have a problem with that." And it's then you can be friends on a real element and say, "Hey, you're doing that thing
I
again."
love it.
And you have
Being
a friend
real.
forever.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. I want to do one more
Yes.
song. It's the one, and it's what everybody and all of us are doing. It's the quest.
Yes.
Had some time on the mountain, had some time on the hill. You ain't seen a valley, you can bet that someday you will. Take one step and get started. Now it's just a choice. Some stay and some go, some will and some won't when they hear that voice. You can take it slowly or choose to run. You can make it a torture or make it fun. Your quest has begun. Alright, your quest has begun. Come on. Have you been bitten by an ocean? Is there a humming in
Roger
your head?
Dinardi, thank you so much for being with
Well,
us.
Thank you
don't
so
need
much.
to
I
worry,
wouldn't be complete without me.
know
Can we cut the
you're
music for this one second
Yeah.
before we're done? Yes, and as much as the core was beginning, I cannot thank Kyle Donovan at Cinder Sound and Jackson Prince at Broadway Studios in Boulder. They both put their souls into it. A lot of the amazing panning and all of the terrific artistic sonic seasonings that went in there, I owe it to Jackson Prince at Broadway.
Wow.
He is a genius. If you want whatever you want done, he will make it for you. He is amazing.
And that's what people say about you.
Oh, thanks.
When it comes to being the sound guy,
Thanks.
just go to Roger and
Yeah.
you'll get it done. So,
Yeah.
but it's nice that you can acknowledge, and I'll take this moment to acknowledge the viewers. Thank you so much for being with us here on the Sterling Spin, for our team that's in the studio. Thank you so much. We couldn't do it without you. Roger, thank you so much for carving out the time and joining me here today in the
Thank
studio.
you.
I've loved our time together. I know we know each other.
Yeah,
Like
for
we
sure.
really understand.
Yes.
And that is really cool.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And
Terrific
until the
show.
next time that you're within the sounds of my voice, I want to ask you to subscribe to our podcast, the Sterling Spin Podcast. Hit the bell for notification. That way, when we drop a show on Sundays, you will be notified and you could tune in. You never know who's coming into the studio, but what you do know is that you and your presence really matters. I'm Liz Sterling. Be well, be blessed, and keep on spinning toward tomorrow today. Bye.